If we jump over now to CF had a great setup, just a short-term move, but a great setup, and actually one that was on our radar for the Trade Ideas feed. I did post about this as well. And what we have here is a move that was very tight below. This is one of my favorite setups right here, just as a side note. For me, as I look back at all my trades over the years, my best opportunities actually originated on the weekly chart. And that's why I spend so much time on the weekly charts to make sure that I have my cycle brackets placed correctly, which does involve a lot of nuance. Again, I cover a lot of that nuance, the things that I've learned over the years in office hours, and I only can bring them up when I'm seeing them, right? Like actually right in front of me. Like this is actually one of them where you had a long cycle, short cycle. We see that all the time, and the way that I know to keep my lengths where they are is to look back at history. And I say, well, how consistent has this been? Because if it has been very consistent and I just have a one series of a long cycle and then a short cycle, this is closer to the average length, meaning from this key trough to that key trough, that's closer to the average length. So that's how I know that the lengths that I'm looking at are in all likelihood the most dominant length money flows that are in play. All of these nuances we cover again in office hours, and I can only cover them when I see them because I've been doing this for so long. It really is kind of just how I look at things. I don't even really think about it anymore. It's just very natural to me now. But I know obviously for those of you who are new, obviously it would not be. But in any event, again, if you have questions, feel free to ask about that. What I liked about this is that we were holding below that prior cycle high at 9086, and then you had 2 bars below it. This is what I wanted to see ideally for a proper swing through 600 in Meta. I wanted to see it hold below 600 for a great swing. Instead, you can see if I will actually show that to you later. It moved up, ground towards 600 on that 5-minute time frame, held tight, and then got a solid 8 or 9 point squeeze or so through 598, 599, and then as soon as it hit 600, bam, it was just straight up through 600 because there, as I was saying in our traders feed, there are going to be stops above that. Traders are going to be concerned. Same thing here, right? You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. I always look at these areas very, very visual, not obviously as clear as what we saw in Meta, but these are just very nice little areas here which you can be trading through. And you can see how this acted is that if we hop over to the short term, nice move here, then a little higher low that set up that breakout. Okay, so look how quick that move was right through there. I know it was short-lived, but these are just going to be trades. And this was from 91 up to 94, 3 points in under 2 days, right? That's a decent setup here, but very calculated, right? Very, very calculated, and it was set up from the higher low. So the way that I like to look at this is, number one, going into it, are you in an uptrend? If so, okay, the first area would be that rising slim ribbon. You can see that we actually had a bull signal coming out of the PO2 right off of that. So that's telling you, okay, well, now watch for follow through. What happened? We ground up into that area. So it's healthy. It's healthy going into it. So then you're saying, okay, you now have likely at least a small long going into it, and then you want to look at adding through here. If it loses this bar at 89.25, that would say, okay, I'm wrong on this breakout setup. Okay, so first buy down here, second buy as you get towards the breakout. I'm usually buying a little bit ahead of it, and because once it actually breaks, it usually gets a little bit loose, and then you then scale out of it as it makes higher highs. Okay, so this was an absolutely perfect breakout setup here in CF Industries. And at this point, we have seen a bit of a failure. So we would be looking at this as now likely a peaking phase, as this is a breakout failure actually. And there's a low that is 1219 216. This is going to be a hard setup for me to actually post on the site because I'm actually watching for this to actually break out. So I need to see a move over a level. But I am sharing with you my overall look. That's what I did on the Trade Ideas feed. I said, this is very likely setting up for a breakout move higher. But this is the way that I like to actually look at it, is to look at a pullback into the zone, which would be the rising slim ribbon, and then only add as we get very close, as I'm watching that short-term price action as we get to the prior swing for a add, and then a scale quickly as we move to all-time highs or to highs in this case, and just trade it from there until it actually in this case had a failed breakout. Okay, so this is a really clean setup. I know this may not fit for everyone's time frame, but these same tactics are valid on a short-term time frame, an intermediate term time frame, whatever time frame you have. You will see the same type of setup.